Hey, it's Ann Webb, founder of Ideal Lifevision and creator of the Ideal Lifevision system, where I teach network marketers and those in direct sales how to create everything they want in life, in their business, their relationships, and their health, through a simple and scientific 8-step comprehensive system called Creating Your Ideal Life. Hey, I'm glad to be here, and over the next 30 minutes or so, let me just say straight out of the gate that I'm not holding back. I'm going to go bottom line, brass tacks, about why it is that some or even many of you are not living your ideal life and not yet making the money you want to in your doTerra business. And the good news is that we're going to change that. You see, in my experience, some or even most of the network marketers I meet are frustrated. Why? Well, it's really simple. They struggle with building and leading a team because they aren't sure how to help their downline or even themselves in duplicating and catching the company vision. They struggle with how to stay continually inspired and implement the success model they learned at trainings or at convention. And they have no idea how to juggle building a business while maintaining time with family and then time to enjoy and grow in their personal life. Yet, even though this is the reality for most in the industry, that ability to change the status quo and create the life they've always dreamed of appears impossible. So during this training, we're going to address all of that. And I'm going to share a tool or a system with you that can literally change your life and turn that around for you. A bold statement? Yeah, absolutely. But I think at the end of this training, you'll agree that this one tool can help you live your ideal life and help you in your doTerra business like no other. Now, before I jump into this exciting information, let me just take 1 minute and tell you a little bit more about myself. On a personal note, I'm married, mother of 5. I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm very, very passionate about traveling and the outdoors. One thing you may not know about me is that Crazy is my middle name. I'm kind of known for doing extreme things like jumping out of airplanes, waterfall rappelling, the flying trapeze, and getting a little too close to lions on safari. On a professional note, I'm the founder of Ideal Lifevision, my current company, and it's this Lifevision tool that I'll be talking about today that is what my husband and I used to build 2 multi-million-dollar companies over the last 20 years. So just a little bit more background. My husband and I, we've been in the network marketing industry for years and years, probably close to 15. But not as distributors, just in support roles. My husband has a company called Web Audiovisual that actually produces network marketing conventions. And he does most of the big ones, including doing part of doTerra's this year. As for me, I've trained over 10,000 network marketers, helping them get organized in their businesses and their lives and add thousands and even some cases even millions of dollars to their bottom lines as well. But the best part about what I do is simply seeing the thousands of lives change and transform as they begin using Ideal Lifevision as a part of their daily routine. So again, this isn't going to be fluffy. I'm going to share with you 3 key principles that has been the key to success for the elite in the MLM industry for decades. Now, we'll be discussing these 3 strategies and many more that will support you in building the life of your dreams through your doTerra business. So I want to start with my own story, the story of how I used this tool of Ideal Lifevision to go from making $25,000 annually to owning a multi-million-dollar company in less than 3 years. So my story begins in the fall of 1988, okay, a very long time ago. And at that time, my husband and I were just a few years out of graduate school, trying to pay off our incredibly high student loans. Due to going to an Ivy League college, while living in the most expensive city in the country at the time, Washington, D.C., and all of that on an entry-level salary of about $25,000 a year. So needless to say, things were horrible for us financially. If we needed new tires for our car or we had to make an insurance payment, it all went on a credit card. New furniture, new clothes were unheard of. And after 7 years of marriage, we still couldn't afford to go on a date unless our parents paid for it. And so instead, we had our friends, for date night, come over to play games and enjoy a treat. Now, nothing wrong with that until one time it all came to a head. So our friends, wanted a drink of milk with the brownies that I had offered them. They came into the kitchen, poured themselves a cup, then another glass, and then another, until that brand new gallon of milk was finally gone. And it wasn't until they left that I finally broke down in sobs, knowing that we didn't have $1.25 to purchase another gallon of milk for at least a week. Now, it's one thing when you and, your hubby have to have water on your cold cereal for a week. But it's a completely different thing when your two little girls cry because you had to put water in their bottle because the milk was gone. So things had to change. Now, after this 6 years of putting my hubby through school, I just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. But things were so desperate that I began trying to make money at home. Now, I tried several different things, in fact, 5 different businesses. But I never made more than $200 at any of these business adventures. But one day my dad called and he offered to buy airline tickets for the whole family to come home for Christmas. He said that he had 2 ideas that were so exciting that they kept him up at night. And he wanted to share those with me when we came home for Christmas. Of course, I begged him to tell me then, but he wouldn't relent, saying I had to wait. Finally, upon arriving at my parents' home, I dropped those suitcases in the doorway and said, "Okay, Dad, spill it. What are these ideas?" And my dad became very animated and rambling in a way, just telling me how he had hired a coach. Okay, now remember, this was 1988 or 89, and I can promise you I'd never heard the term coach. Never heard life coach, never heard business coach. In fact, the only coach I had heard of was like a soccer coach, a sports coach. So he also told me how he had created a creed, okay? And he continued jabbering about all of this, about how his goals had come to fruition. And I'm sure the blank stare on my face told him, look, I'm not really getting this. After rolling his eyes, he started from the beginning and told me how he had hired Leo Widener, who was the former student of Napoleon Hill, author of Think and Grow Rich, to be his life coach. Now, Leo was assisting him in writing down all of his goals from all areas of his life using a method which I had never heard of before. Again, remember, this was the 80s and affirmations were just on their way in. So this creed was a little like a personal mission statement, but written first person, present tense, as if it was currently happening. And my dad went on to tell me of his own incredible experience so far, that he had quadrupled his income, paid his house off, and purchased a Cadillac cash in that year. Wow. I was impressed, but still I wasn't really getting what he was saying. So he resorted to handing me a little booklet that he said would explain it all. Now, his second idea was another business idea that a mutual friend had had a lot of success with. When he mentioned this friend had made $30,000 the month before, I was all ears. It turned out that the business was selling wassel, a wassel mix that my mom actually had the recipe for, and to sell it at local craft shows. The mix was packaged in, a cute little Christmas plaid bag, tied with a bow, a gift card, a cinnamon stick, and they sold for $5 or $6 each. And my dad anticipated I could sell hundreds. And then he made a powerful suggestion that kept me up at night. He said, why don't you take this business idea of selling wassel, combine it with this new goal-setting technique that I've just shared with you, and see what happens to you financially. Now, because I came from a really goal-oriented family and New Year's was quickly approaching within the week or so, it was just natural that I would be setting my own 1989 goals very shortly. And I decided I would in fact try this totally off-the-wall idea of writing a creed, which is what we called it back then. And so I began. I followed the details in the booklet, writing down my goals in each area of life, from spiritual to physical, relationships, personal development, financial, and I wrote it as if I had already begun accomplishing these. It seemed strange at first, but I quickly got the hang of it. When I got to the financial section, I wrote something that went like this. I have a wassel business, and by December 31st, 1989, I make $20,000. I do this by selling 2,000 bags of wassel at 6 craft shows, and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 1 to 3 in the afternoon, I make the necessary phone calls and accomplish the tasks that I need to, and it feels incredible to be on top of things financially. Now, interestingly, at the time I wrote this, I had no idea what was involved in having a wassel business because it was a brand new idea to me. But after finishing up with the writing of my creed or Lifevision on a typewriter, because heaven knows we couldn't afford a computer, they were new and expensive, I was a little taken back when I was instructed in the booklet to now record on a cassette tape recorder what I had just written with Baroque music playing in the background. Well, while still shaking my head at this crazy idea, I headed to the library, told the librarian I needed some Baroque music, and she started giggling and giggling a little bit more and a little bit more, and she said, honey, that's Baroque music, not Baroque music. I don't know how I got that one screwed up. But she handed me some, Mozart, Beethoven, some of these composers that I actually was familiar with, and this big bulky tape recorder. Well, I headed home and I grabbed my kids' Fisher-Price tape recorder. No, it wasn't mine, it was my kids. And while my 2 little girls were playing in the other room, I began recording my first ever Lifevision. Well, let me just say, what a nightmare. I was almost finished with the entire recording when the phone rang. And so the ringing sound was now in my recording. So I had to turn off the phone, start again. Next time, I was almost done when my 2 little daughters came running into the room screaming, Mom, she's hitting me! Get her off me! Okay, fighting and screaming, which now all that racket was now on my recording. So again, I have to rewind both of the tapes, start over, and keep going. Let me just say it was one of those days where anything that could go wrong did go wrong. Next, it was my little girls pounding on the door, let us in, let us in. Okay, and then finally the 4th time it was the tape breaking. So needless to say, it took me 3 hours to record my short 10-minute tape. But finally, it was recorded. Now, obviously, the next step is to listen to it daily, and I did. But somewhere around the 2nd day, I began to doubt myself. I remember feeling like, get real, Anne. You've never even made $200 at a business, and now you think you're going to make $20,000? Yeah, get real. So these thoughts plagued me for a few days until finally I knew I had to change that single word from 20,000 to 5,000. That seemed so much more realistic. Okay, but the thought of having to go back and re-record to change one word, are you kidding? I'm way too lazy to do that. I mean, it took me 3 hours to change one word. So I wasn't that excited about doing it, but my lazy self said, look, Anne, why don't you just listen to it, and when the recording says 20,000, just vocally say 5,000 over the top. And that is exactly what I did. So if you would have seen me back in the 80s, I would have been maybe walking down the street with my Walkman, okay? This is a picture of a Walkman, in case you're too young to have a clue what this is. We didn't have iPhones or iPods back in the day, and this is what I listened to my first Lifevision or Creed on. So I would have been walking down the street, okay, here it comes, okay, knowing that I'm going to say 20,000 on the tape, and then I would have vocally said 5,000 over the top of it. Okay, and that's what I did. So anyway, that's basically what happened. One day, I was driving to the grocery store, supposedly listening to my Lifevision, but I got to the end of the tape and realized that I hadn't paid any attention to it. I had been daydreaming. It's kind of like you read a book and 5 pages later you realize that you don't remember one thing that you've read. It was kind of like that. I hadn't been focusing on it at all. I was discouraged and scared because I was wondering how this was all going to work if I couldn't even focus on my goals for 10 minutes. So I found my dad's booklet, and on the back was his coach's, Leo Widener's name and phone number. And I called him and I said something like this: "Hey, Leo, you don't know me from Adam, but my dad's a client and I've written my own creed. And I just have a question. How am I supposed to accomplish my goals if I can't even focus on them?" And he asked me, "Did you record it to the music?" And I said, "Yeah, I did." And why did I do that? Up to that point, I hadn't even paid attention to, why I had recorded it to music. I was just following instructions. So he went into this big, long scientific explanation and basically was talking about alpha and so many hertzels and blah, blah, blah. And everything he said was so scientific, it went right over my head. And I stopped him and I said, "Can you say that one more time in English?" And he's like, "Oh, one of my clients just walked in. I have to go." Just keep listening. It's going to work. So needless to say, sometimes I was focused. Okay, here it comes. 5,000. And I would say 5,000 over the recording of my 20,000. And other times I was checked out, daydreaming, thinking about something else, as you can imagine. And I wouldn't say 5,000, but I hope that you guess the end of my story. I made $19,500 that year, only $500 short. And I have to tell you, my husband and I were beside ourselves because I had almost doubled our income. And my husband said, "You should put a 0 on the back of that for next year, Anne." And I'm like, 20,000 with a 0, 200,000? Are you kidding? And he said, "Actually, I am just kidding." But the more I thought about it, I thought, if I can sell one product, maybe I can sell 3. And if I can retail, maybe I can retail and wholesale. And if I can go do 6 craft shows, maybe I can get my husband to go do 6 more. Well, I was way too scared to 10 times my goal, but I thought about it and thought, just for an experiment, I'm going to go for 100,000 next year. So I redid my Lifevision, retyped it up, stretched myself, added bigger, bolder goals in all areas, re-recorded that year. I made 93,000, and within another about 18 months after that, my husband and I hit 7 figures in our business. So that's my story. So now the question for you, you're probably asking yourself is, okay, I heard the story, but what is a Lifevision? Now, by definition, some of my clients call it a minutely detailed personal mission statement. Okay, others have referred to it as a declaration of intent. Okay, but regardless of what you call it, it's about clarity and focus. So when I say clarity, I'm talking minute clarity. Okay, not just the what, okay, but also the when, the by when, the how or the action plan, the why or the emotion, okay? That's what I mean by clarity. But what do I mean by focus? Okay, well, you record it in your own voice with Baroque music or other accelerated super learning music, and you listen to it every day. Now, let me go over that in just a little bit more detail. People always ask me, well, why do you record it? Okay, well, there's a couple of reasons. First, because that's how it imprints onto your subconscious. And I may touch on that briefly in just a bit, but in other words, the listening of the recording is what changes the neural pathways in your brain. And the second reason is actually a much more practical reason. Okay, if you had to read a 10-page single-space type Lifevision every day, do you think you would? Nope, you wouldn't. But if you can listen to it while you're exercising, driving, something like that, and multitask, you probably will. Okay, so that's again why we record it. Okay, in your own voice. Okay, I don't know how many of you know this, but your voice is your most believable voice. Now, I've had people question me on that and go, I don't know about that, but really, think about it. Think about all that negative self-talk you've bought into over the last 20 years. Yep, you believed it. Okay, and if you compare the results from a generic affirmation CD that you buy that somebody else records and sells you and compare it to your own voice saying your specific goals with minute clarity, the results are like 100 times more. And we use super or accelerated learning music because that's what puts your brain and body into a certain state called alpha. So if you've ever heard of the Mozart effect, okay, the idea that mothers play Mozart for their babies or their kids while they're doing their homework. It's the same idea, the same principle. Okay, so it's a combination of these elements, the minute clarity, the knowing of what you want, your own voice, the music, and the daily focus. That's where the magic is. Okay, so enough about what it is. Let's talk just a minute about what it can do. Now, I don't like to be super sensational, but I do like to show from one end of the spectrum to the other what can be accomplished with Ideal Lifevision. So let's start with some of the super cool things that have been accomplished using Ideal Lifevision in the network marketing industry. Okay, now I've had several clients, go from less than 10 people in their downline, maybe making 100 a month, to about 90 days receiving a check for $5,000 and maintaining it. Okay, another client, Carol, she went from, 1,000 to 15,000 in just a couple of months. Okay, again, Brent's downline grew by 106 in 60 days. Marcy got her TV show. Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with network marketing, although she was a network marketer. And Crystal, a diamond in doTerra, hit 100,000 a year for the first time ever. Okay. Also, one of my clients, Rich, hit 100,000 in a month. Okay, again, not super typical, but it can certainly happen. More typical, hitting around 5,000 monthly within 6 to 8 months using Ideal Lifevision. Okay, so let's get down to the brass tacks, and I'm going to share a sample of Cherie Burton's doTerra Lifevision. Okay, and FYI, this is the Lifevision that got her to Blue Diamond. So on here on the screen, I do have a little paragraph, but I'm gonna read a little bit before this and maybe a little bit after. So again, just a sample. I love how doTerra is creating vibrant health and wellness in my body through consistent use. As a doTerra business owner, I'm not only providing the world with powerful essential oils and wellness products, but I'm also building complete financial freedom by sharing it with others. I am clear on my why. I know why I'm engaged in this business, and I know exactly what dreams it is helping me create for myself and my family. I am so grateful that doTerra is the mechanism to bring my goals to me. I understand the vital importance of spending time each day on growing myself as a person in order to attract new leaders. Therefore, my first business priority and most pivotal success habit is personal development. I spend at least a half hour each day outside of my focused business time listening to audio CDs or reading out of books that help me grow my leadership abilities and understand sales, network marketing, abundance principles, and how to inspire people. I love that I am in a business that allows me to grow and get paid to do it. I am doing doTerra as a serious business, and I dedicate blank to blank, of course you fill in your own there, each day working with focus. I have an efficient system that can be duplicated. It is the success system. I feel grateful and excited to have this as a tool that I share with my team. As a leader, I set the example for my entire organization by following the daily, weekly, and monthly success habits in the lead guide. I am totally focused during my business hours. I immediately go to the contact section of my binder, review my prospects, always adding names as they come to me. I'm optimistic about each phone call and know that each call I make is one step toward building a massive residual income. I make my phone calls when my mind is fresh and I have plenty of energy and passion. I have solutions for people. Okay, and I'm going to stop right there, but just know that there is another 2 full pages that goes into rank advancement, customers, the power of 3 bonus, leadership, mentoring calls, convention, okay, all of that. So do you get the picture? It's about details, okay? It's about motivation. It's about strategy, okay? Imagine having that in your brain every day and then having it imprint so that it literally becomes a part of who you are as it imprints onto your subconscious. And even better, imagine sharing that with your downline so that they can have something that powerful in their brain as well. So you take what's working for you and use this tool as an implementation system. Okay? So again, it's about details, it's about motivation, and it's about strategy. So I want to make it clear that this is not just about building your business. Okay? This is about balancing your life. So I'm going to give you an example from another section, okay? Because let's face it, network marketers face a lot of time on their business, yet they don't want to rest the rest of their life to suffer. But it can be quite the juggling act to get it all organized, plotted, and planned out to make your life work in all areas: spiritual, relationships, personal development, business, and health. Again, this is where Ideal Lifevision comes in to get you clear and focused on what is most important to you. So another example is my client Bonnie. Now, she describes what happened best in her email. She said, "The greatest thing yet in my physical life vision was my 33-pound weight release. I checked myself out in the full-length mirror in my closet just this morning, and may I just say, damn, I look hot. For the first time in over 10 years, I'm truly and finally feeling good about myself. I'm loving me. I shared this with my husband this morning in tears of joy because I feel like I'm captain of my ship again." So as you can imagine, I love reading that. So you're probably curious, okay, but how did she do it? How did she lose that 33 pounds? So here's just a sneak peek at one paragraph of her full-page typed physical section. Okay, I eat the perfect balance of foods for my body. I eat for fuel and nutrients to keep my body running optimally and efficiently. I focus on getting most of my calories from lean protein sources, fruits, veggies, whole grains, and healthy fats. I eat mostly foods from all natural ingredients and eat organic whenever possible. My body accepts the food easily, using it effectively. I drink at least 100 ounces of fresh water daily to vitalize, nourish, and refresh my body, and I take high-grade supplements. I have more energy and mental clarity than ever before, and because I'm dedicated and consistent with my nutrition, I weigh my ideal weight of 140 pounds. Being a size 8 is a dream come true. It's given me the energy and confidence I've been craving. I feel fabulous in my new lean body. I'm excited about all the compliments I receive, and I have a new summer wardrobe in size 8. Again, that's just a piece of it, and she continues on with another, half a page, 3/4 of a page about details about her wardrobe, exercise, a triathlon she's doing this summer. So if you're in a situation where it wouldn't kill you to lose 10 or 100 pounds, okay, then this is for you. Now, there are 8 specific steps you need to follow to create your own physical life vision, but when you do, magic happens. Now, I've had dozens and dozens and dozens of clients lose weight, but that's not all. Okay, your physical health and fitness section doesn't need, of course, to just focus on losing weight. Other clients have used Ideal Life Vision to learn to ski, play tennis, take up fencing, and I've had many clients use it to complete marathons, triathlons, okay, bike racing. In fact, quite a few athletes are using this to improve their game. And isn't that what it's all about for every one of us? Being at the top of our game. So Life Vision works. Now, I want every one of you to succeed in your goals, so I'm going to make this super easy. I've created a program called Creating Your doTerra Life Vision and Ideal Life Vision. So I want you to go here to createalifevision.com and then /team-doTerra. So go ahead and look at that screen and just go there, createalifevision.com team-doTerra. So here's the goal of this program. It's to help the participant learn to create a life vision for their business and their personal life, to develop the habit of listening daily to the life vision to reach their goals by developing new habits and literally changing the neural pathways in their brain. Also, to have me as a mentor to show you the way and keep you on the path, to help every participant learn to balance the many responsibilities of life well by creating all 5 sections. Also, to implement the things that are in your life vision through accountability, reach your goals because you know your why and you have support all the way around you, and finally, to rank advance. Okay, that's one of the goals of this program, is for you to rank advance because you now have support all the way around you. So here's what's included and how we will accomplish this. And you can see that as you scroll down through the website. Maybe you're still on the PowerPoint, either way. But here's what you get. You get access to my home study course. Okay. So this includes the Create Your Ideal Life Vision program covering the 5 areas. It includes, 19 modules, 15 videos, downloads, dozens of templates and samples. In fact, everything you need to complete your own life vision with. Okay, now it does say 90-day access, but I will tell you as the bonus, it's actually a 6-month access. Okay, so next there's also a 2.5-hour training specifically for creating your doTerra Life Vision. Okay, some of you may have seen this around for sale on Facebook at some events, post-convention tour that I did last year, and the cost is usually about $49 to $59 just for this. But again, this is included. Okay, next you're going to get 6 months of live weekly calls and support from me. So every week I focus on just one section of creating the life vision. And I have to say, in my opinion, this is the meatiest and best part of this program, because during the call, I focus on everything I know about creating that section of the life vision. And then the homework is for you to complete it and record it. So it's a revolving class and it goes through all 5 areas, focusing on one each week. And then the 6th class, I talk about music, how to record it, how to update it, all of that. If you miss a class, you can listen to the replay or pick it up the next time. So because you will have access to these calls for 6 months. Okay, now if you were to go to one of my websites, ilv90day.com, and purchase this separately, the cost of just this is $150 a month. Okay. All right. So next, what's included? There's also a private Facebook group where you can ask questions, you can get support, get more ideas, and just share some of your successes. Okay. You will also be able to get feedback on a section of your life vision for a small additional fee if you want to, or you can even hire one of my certified coaches who is also in doTerra and get a coaching session with them if you desire. So I added up the value of this program, and it's approximately $1,000. And that's the price that many of your leaders have paid in the past. Okay, but if you're committed, then the cost is 90% off, okay? Or just $99 or 3 payments of $39. Okay, yep, you heard that right. Just $99 for the results that I'm talking about. Again, I've trained over 20 blue diamonds, a half a dozen presidential diamonds, and I lost count at 78 on doTerra diamonds. Okay, now this is still sort of in beta test. We haven't been doing it even a year at this point. In fact, it's more like about 7 months. What I can promise you is the price will go up. And I can confidently say this is a no-brainer. Okay, if you want to be successful with your goals, click the button at the bottom of that createlifevision.com team-doTerra and get yourself into this program. Okay, now is there a time commitment? Yes, of course. I want you to plan on about 2 hours a week for the first 6 weeks. After that, it's only 1 to 2 hours a month. Now, another question you may be wondering, can you bring your husband or another team member on board as part of this price? The answer is no. I know that doTerra does things by couples, but this program is per person. And hopefully you get that if, I'm going to continue to offer the program at this price, it's based on people being honest and understanding that this is paid content and, of course, my own intellectual property. But again, this is something that you're going to want to share with your team, okay? With your upline, your downline, some of your prospects even that are thinking about maybe getting into doTerra. Share this link with them and have them get into the program as well. So, and let me just throw this out. If you have any questions, okay, if you feel, like you need to ask me something, feel free to email me at ann.webb, W-E-B-B, at ideallifevision.com. So to just wrap this up, okay, Jack Canfield had this to say about the recording program. He said, I love this program. It gives the average person a cost-effective way to combine personalized background music with their own vision of their ideal life and create a CD or MP3 file for their iPod or MP3 player. When you can listen to your vision every day and burn it deeply into your subconscious mind, this assures an accelerated achievement of your goals. John Assaraf had this to say, I do as much as possible to get into my subconscious mind, and so I am willing to invest as much time and as much money as necessary to get my brain wired properly. And the best way I know to do this is to go through the creative bombardment, to do it from a variety of different angles, including auditory. Take your vision and put it onto your iPod or a CD. There's a program out there that will give you what you need instead of you fumbling around trying to figure out how to do it by yourself. Okay, so there you have it. The success gurus are telling you to do this, and yet as far as I know, I'm the only one out there that is walking you step by step through the entire process, holding your hand the entire time. So what's the rest of 2014 going to look like for you? Okay? Is it going to be more of the same, or is this your year to live your ideal life by creating your ideal doTerra business? And again, I'm going to reemphasize this. Keep this in mind. This is for teams. So feel free to share this with your upline, your downline, new people as they join, because this is changing the entire culture of teams. And I'll conclude with just this final thought that I'd like you to ponder for the rest of the day. Just remember that the best way to predict the future is to create it. Thanks for joining me.